started about the same time. This should be a really interesting race because these two racers are seated right next to one another, and their PBs. It's actually funny. So Daniel is seated slightly higher than Lathil, but I think Lathil's PB is like 20 seconds faster than Daniel's. I'm not positive on this because Speedrun.com doesn't necessarily have the most updated times. I know it doesn't for Daniel. But I'm pretty sure their PBs are really close and their seating is really close, so this should be interesting. These first few maps, there's really nothing too special going on. They're just, obviously using, your standard source engine bunny hopping. It's a little different in Portal 2, because once you hit 300 velocity, you actually you lose air control until you slow down slower than 300 velocity again. So you'll see when they make these turns, when they're bunny hopping, they almost completely stop so that they have control over what direction they're moving again. And they're pretty in sync right now. Their timers are a little bit off, but you're going to see definitely some disconnect with the timers. Let's just see where they finish. Daniel's, about 5 seconds ahead. We don't time load times because, different PCs are going to have different load times. So in order to give no one an advantage for that, we don't time loads. And we also allow you to save your game and then load back those saves if you mess up a trick. You can't abuse this to perform glitches, but you are allowed to use this to recover. And because of that, we might see some more timer disconnect just because one player might be safe loading more than another. So you see Daniel over there performing a portal stand where he just stands on the outside of the portal and shoots opposite color to get himself up to that ledge really quickly, and Lathil does the same thing. Then it is just, creative portal placement with some good timing in order to get the cube. Does the same thing over here on Future Starter. See it. Lathil will do this shortly. Here Daniel messes up that hop. That's unfortunate, but yeah, so he's going to activate this button for exactly 1 tick. Lathil doing the same thing. There's a setup to make doing that a lot easier, and by doing this, the button will actually stay activated. It's not possible to do this on every button, though, so you'll probably only see this on this map and then another map in Chapter 6, so we'll talk about later. But you can see this map is an example of something that's been very gutted because, normally there's a whole cutscene with Wheatley opening a secret panel that is skippable in full game, but you normally would have to do a very, very precise shot in order to skip it, whereas here it's just free because the cutscene's been removed. This is another map that has a really long cutscene in it where you wake up GLaDOS at the end. You're going to see instead there's a world portal that goes straight to the incinerator, so that cutscene's been completely gutted from the game. It makes these runs so much faster and so much more pleasant to run. Daniel's definitely ahead by a few seconds, but most of the really defining moments of any of these speedruns are going to happen in the mid-game, where there's a lot of potential to choke. A little bit in the late game. Early game, though, is a pretty safe run overall. There's not a whole lot of places to seriously mess up in the early game, so it's really hard to say who's going to be coming out on top right now. There you can see, just using portal standing to get around the incinerator level a little bit faster. And yeah, so Daniel about 7 seconds ahead. Easily enough time for him to choke, though.
Really let the place go since you killed me. Not bad. I forgot how good you are at this.
All right, Lathil got caught on a kind of an awkward slope. That's at that exit there. They can fling themselves by going forward into the ground portal, which translates to upward momentum when they come out of the wall portal, and they are able to make that fling. This is a sort of abuse of the momentum mechanics that allows for some other tricks later in the run. All right, dual laser. You're gonna see laser switch glitch here. So you're gonna see Daniel and Lathil now as well is gonna activate one laser node and then immediately switch to the other laser node while pushing up against the door, and this will actually open the door up for you, as the door is gonna be activated for 1 tick if you do this. Or it might be more than 1 tick. I'm not positive on that. All right, this route, this match, or I'm sorry, this chamber has a lot of routes that they could go with. Daniel goes for the fast one, but very difficult wet maker, which uses a reportal. And what a reportal is, and we'll see this a handful more times in the run, or if you stand on the outside of a portal and shoot the opposite portal while you're standing inside the portal, the game will push you out of the portal just to try and avoid exploits. But a side effect of this is that you're going to have a 200 velocity boost. If you're going through the portal quickly, it'll add 200 velocity to your movement, and so you can make some tricky jumps this way. And you'll see this later. For the new viewers from SpeedGaming 4, I'll just talk about this. Is Portal 2 speedrunning mod. It's not exactly Portal 2. It has all the same maps, has roughly the same routes. It cuts out waiting times, though, so you're not going to see these speedrunners sitting around through cutscenes or waiting for elevators to arrive or anything like that. This cuts out all of that, making the speedrun much faster. But the core gameplay is the same.
So sometimes there's still trash in them.
Oh, here you see Lathil and Daniel both place that portal at a different angle. That just guarantees that the ball is gonna hold down the button rather than having to actually press and wait for a cube to get it there. Right, this is another map. There's some variation in routes. There's 2 main routes that people use. Daniel's going to use a triple reportal where he's reportaling over and over again from the ground portals to get himself enough momentum to go straight to the exit there. Lathil, though, uses a super reportal where he gets himself stuck in the portal and shoots a bunch of times, giving him a really large speed boost that takes him straight to the exit. They're comparably fast, but super reportal's definitely more consistent. But it's also a very new route, so not everyone is completely used to it. Daniel messing up here has to go up there and do that backup. He still is ahead, but only by 3 seconds going into chapter 3. So yeah, really close race right now. Daniel has, though, I think he's kept his lead the entire game. I don't think he's actually fallen behind yet, but that could very easily change. Oh. All right. So here, yeah, they're just gonna get the cube. You know, instead of using the tilted panels to get up there, they're going ahead and just, you know, using the momentum they already got from the faith plate to fling around and just do it a little bit more quickly. There's no real glitches or exploits. It's just, you know, more creative solutions to the puzzle.
Enjoy this next test.
Here they load in. That's very well synced. Daniel's timer is ahead, though, so Daniel is ahead. But holy cow, that's very well synced. So here what they do is they fling the cube in front of the laser, which brings the panel down very briefly, and then when the panel comes back up, they grab the cube and the panel bounces them right to the end. It's a really, really well optimized route for that map, which is normally has a pretty long and convoluted solution. So here you're going to see bridges introduced for the first time. There's not really any crazy speedrunning mechanics that are associated with bridges. It's just, you know, obviously it makes jumping around a little harder. You know, you can see, you know, they can, you know, once you're proficient with movement and shooting portals, you can be just jumping out over empty space and placing bridges underneath you to catch yourself. So it's a skill-based element, but there's not really any big glitches associated with it. They're probably both going to go for some form of really fast fling, likely a reportal. You see Lathil doing this, where he's going to reportal himself down really fast to get himself enough speed to actually just bounce or just a hop to the end there. Daniel messing it up. So he reportals, launches himself out of the wall and gets the cube and bounces to the end. He messes it up there again. And he decides to go with the intended route. But, alright. Lathil here, turret intro is really a map you do pretty close to intended. Here he doesn't kill the turrets because it's faster. He messes up the portal, though, so he dies. Daniel having a very bad bridge the gap. This is definitely one of those tricks that if you don't get it first try, then you can definitely just get wrapped up in messing it up over and over again. So Daniel pretty substantially behind now by about a map. So we'll see if Lathil does anything super defining like that. Bridge the Gap really is though, like probably I think it's really the first map that is super throwable in the game. Some people might say Ricochet is. I don't think Ricochet is that
That jumpsuit you're wearing
huge of a
looks
deal.
stupid.
It can be, I
What's
guess,
not with
especially
mine?
if you're not used to the
It's right here
timing.
in your file. On other people's
All right, here
files,
Lathil is going to use the
right here
turret to
beside
boost
it, it's
himself.
noted that on you it
And
lists
he
who.
almost doesn't make it, but he
Well,
gets there
that was
just
the name
fine.
for your little old engine
Daniel
room
gonna do
going off
the laser
fast.
switch glitch
You
that we talked
probably.
about earlier on these
Oh,
relays
wait,
to open the
it's
door
a
without him
she.
having to use the
Still, what
cube at
does
all.
she know? Oh wait, it says she has a medical degree.
I'm not sure what happened to Lathil there. He had all the
Congrats.
turrets killed. I was watching
I'm
Daniel's
going
screen
through
there.
the list of test subjects in
But there you
cryogenics.
can see at the end of this chamber, there's actually just a good example of where reportals can be useful but not mandatory. And you'll see Daniel probably go for the same thing, where he just uses a reportal to boost himself to the ground faster. It saves less than a second to do this, but if you're proficient with reportals, Daniel doesn't get the portal shot correctly. Daniel having a pretty rough chapter 3. And so for his sake, you hope that Lathil has a subpar, probably chapter 6 or 7. Those are really considered to be the harder maps in the game for a speedrunner. Or the harder chapters, I should say.
This next test was designed by one of Aperture's Nobel Prize winners. It doesn't say what the prize was for. Well,
Yeah. These two maps are really not too interesting. You pretty much just do the intended route.
I bet you think I
There's really
forgot
nothing too
this
special about it.
prize. I didn't.
So
In fact,
here we have Lathil going into chapter 4 at 10:42, and Daniel entering Pull the Rug at, what was it, like 10:34 or something. So
I made it all up.
Daniel's definitely behind. Not
Surprise.
like a ton, though. He's probably about
Oh, come
12
on.
seconds behind or
If it
so.
makes you feel any better, they
Yeah,
abandoned
something
me at
like
birth.
that.
So I very seriously doubt that even one.
Lathil using a reportal to get himself over that gap. If you're able to get the cube without the bridge, you can see Daniel doing this, where he just pops himself up and grabs it instead of using the bridge.
Well, you know the old formula.
All right, and here's laser chaining that Lathil's entering.
And you have been asleep for a while, so I guess it's actually pretty funny.
Not too bad though. So Lathil's going to use a route where he drops the cube on the laser. It's a little risky, but it's very consistent actually. I do this route, it almost never fails. So some runners decide not to do it. I don't know what Daniel's going to do. Daniel decides to go with the safer route where he actually puts the cube down. There are a lot of top runners who do that really safe route, but personally, I think it's worth doing the slightly riskier one because it really doesn't mess up ever.
That's right.
Here, Lathil doing a 3-way laser switch glitch where he just oscillates that laser between the 3 nodes and gets through the door.
I've got a surprise for you after this next test.
Alright, Lathil's starting the escape sequence of the game at the end of chapter 4.
A real surprise.
He's going to hit that button, and he's going to use some portal placing to he hits that trigger to turn off all the power and open the door, and then just uses portals to get himself across the room faster. It's a tricky trick to do, but if you're consistent at it, it saves a couple seconds. It's definitely worth doing.
The irony is you were almost
And Daniel doing the same thing here. Lathil got a stair boost, I think. I was watching Daniel's screen there. You'll see Daniel do it, though, where he just can boost himself over the railing and just cut out having to run on part of the catwalk. Saves a couple seconds. You see Daniel doing that as well, just getting himself over the railing. And Lathil he doesn't go for that hop. I think he had a bad hop pattern. You can cut that, bend in the catwalk, but there's an invisible wall that's supposed to prevent you from doing this, so you have to jump over the abyss to get around the invisible wall. It's a risky play. We'll see if Daniel goes for it. And he doesn't. Both runners opting to just speedball straight to the end. That's the route I would recommend. There's a slightly faster one, but it's really difficult and relies on a good, sloped railing boost. So both runners entering chapter 5. This map, Turret Factory, is pretty much entirely just bunny hopping. It's a movement test, really. You see, looks like Daniel might have some form of ambient light on. It's still pretty dark, though, on his screen. We do allow effectively full bright in these speedruns, just particularly for this map where it's very dark and you're not going to have Wheatley's flashlight because you're either outrunning him or he never turns it on, depending on what game you're running. And so different people with different monitors will have different advantages depending on how easily they can see in the dark. So we just allow you to turn on full bright so that that isn't a problem. We want to eliminate hardware as much from your speedrunning game as possible. Alright, so let's actually compare how they're doing. So we have Lathil finishing at 1423. Daniel's, yeah, definitely still behind, but Daniel's gained on him, it seems. He's only 3 seconds behind. So really good comeback from Daniel. Still not ahead, but he's really close. And after that bridge of the gap, you'd expect him to be way further behind than he is. Okay, so there's 2 routes that people can use here in this room that Lathil's going into. Oh. So one of the routes involves getting a defective turret, and Lathil just barely doesn't catch that.
Almost there.
Daniel does. So we're going to see both routes here. So Lathil here is going to actually do a super precise shot to shoot just above that door and get a portal on the other side, which he does pretty quickly. Daniel's going to use a portal bumping technique to bump the portal into this room without Wheatley having to break the glass. When you place a portal on the side of another portal, it'll just put it at the nearest convenient portal surface, which happened to be on the other side of that door in that case. That trick that Lathil did, it's called a pancake shot, and it's only possible on that specific type of door. It's used in other places in the normal portals too in order to skip cutscenes, but because cutscenes are removed in this game, that's the only place that it's used. I think Lathil is gonna have... Yeah, Daniel had a slightly slower turret sabotage than Lathil. Neurotoxin sabotage is, yeah, it's mostly hopping, and then at the end, Speedrun mod adds a lot more panels to cut the tubes with, so that this map is a lot less cycle-based than it normally is. So that's pretty nice. The tube ride map is completely cut out of the game because it's an entirely cutscene-based map. There's no actual gameplay in it, so it's removed. Same with the Low and Fall map. That is right after this. And you can see Core here. That map that Lathil's on normally has a lot of cutscene going on. This is really a turning point in the story in the Mace game, but with the cutscenes removed, this is a really short map actually that is just mostly movement. You just jump into that pit. Normally that map would take several minutes to complete, and as here it's like a 30-second map, if that. Alright, so Lathil going into Chapter 6, you saw, yeah, Lone Fall is eliminated. This map's also largely movements. There's a shot you're going to see here. So yeah, he cuts off a big part of it by just shooting that portal surface there. That's just, you can just see it. Most players on their first run won't catch that, but it's very easy to just skip a portion of the map that way. And then Lathil just did it, and you're going to see Daniel do this now, where he's going to, instead of actually moving through this entire chasm, you can, by hopping on that sign, shoot a portal right into the ending area. So it's a pretty precise shot, but you can see where you're aiming there. All right, Lathil going into Cave Johnson. This map definitely can eat time because there's tricks that just aren't horribly consistent, but they don't lose a ton of time to mess up. So usually just throw a couple tries at this shot that Lathil's doing, for example. It's taking him a little longer than normal. Yeah, you can shoot the big wall that's on the other side of that by jumping or over the gap or over the goo there. And then here Lathil captures a scripted momentum glitch by tricking the game into giving him the necessary momentum to get to the end catwalk, and then he combines that with the reportal to actually get him even more momentum that allows him to jump off the pipe to the end. And we see Daniel. Both runners hit this first try, which is impressive because that's a pretty difficult reportal to hit. As you come out of that other, you come out of the portal so fast, it's a tough, very precise reportal to hit. And here we have Lathil here. He gets a button save. It's the same thing we saw at the beginning of the game where he activates it for 1 tick, and these buttons are pretty easy to do this with, at least some of them. And here we have Lathil going for. All right, he was going for Cube Club Junior, where he just abuses the collision with the portals and the wall. Uses an object to push himself through the floor while he's inside the portal. It's possible what he was trying to do is get himself to be clipped upward, which allows him to get immediately to the second layer of this chamber. But that's an inconsistent trick that normally isn't done in full game runs. And yeah, he gave up on doing that pretty quickly, which is probably a wise move. Ooh, Daniel having an awkward move there, but overall, neither runner having an awful repulsion intro. I say that as Daniel messes up the only easy part of this map. This map's pretty straightforward. I saw Lathil practicing a super reportal trick, so we're going to see if he does it. And he does. So he does what we talked about earlier, where he gets himself stuck in the portal, and he's going to shoot the opposite portal a bunch of times to launch himself, and then uses the gel to get to the exit. He doesn't quite make it there. Daniel doing a more basic route that most runners will do. That's probably going to put Daniel in the lead. Yeah, okay, Lathil gets it second try, which isn't bad, but yeah, Lathil is behind now. Which is surprising, because I don't remember Lathil. I mean, I think Lathil just has generally been playing slower than Daniel, but Daniel has thrown like more per chamber. Like, there have been a couple chambers that Daniel has absolutely thrown, but the ones that Daniel hasn't thrown, he played quite well. Neither running going for the stuck launch here, which is interesting, but they're able to abuse their crouch hitbox, and then you stand up to activate a trigger that breaks the glass there, so they don't have to use the blue gel to get the cube out. Okay, this is a pretty straightforward map. There's a portal helper on that portal surface, so that if you shoot the wall next to it, it'll just adjust the portal so that you hit it, which allows you to shoot around that glass. You see Lathil doing this now, where he just shoots that portal through the glass. You actually shoot on the wall next to the glass in order to get that to work. The cutscene where you get GLaDOS from the bird's nest is cut out completely, so you just fling at the end. It's a cutscene that you could skip normally in the full game run, but it involves a much more difficult fling, and this is completely free. Alright, Daniel using a reportal to get to the end of the sphere here. You can see Lathil there just shot through a very small gap that happens to get you right to the end of the chamber. It's an incredibly convenient trick that's possible, and so Lathil now just reportals and jumps to get himself to the exit there, rather than using the normal flame that you'd be required to do. Alright, Daniel here, gonna walk through here at a very precise angle, and jump a bunch of times to stack blue gel bounces and launch himself straight to the exit without actually having done the entire puzzle. And see Lathil doing the same thing here. Tricks like that, where you need a certain angle coming out of a portal, require you to turn portal funneling off, or portal funneling normally it'll funnel you into a portal that you're falling into. It'll make sure you don't miss. But this prevents, this changes the angle you go into the portal in, because it actually alters your trajectory going into the portal to make sure you don't miss it. And so turning this off allows for some pretty handy tricks that we're going to see in a couple more places throughout the run. Lathil messed up that jump, I think. I guess he must have. Daniel here just getting some white gel over there so he can reportal. Oh, he messes up the reportal. He's recovering it. Alright, he got the reportal. Now he's gonna... Okay. Well, that's an unconventional way to do that, but it was a pretty solid recovery from him. You see Lathil doing it. He misses the reportal as well, and he's also gonna do. Oh, he hits his head on that there. So Daniel just wrapping up conversion intro. Both runners having some trouble. Okay, Lathil gets that reportal, no problem. Except for the time that he messed it up. Alright, here we're going to see a stuck launch on 3 gels where Daniel is. So what Daniel's going to do now is he's going to place some blue gel strategically on the floor underneath this platform right here. And now he's going to get himself stuck in this little gap. And so he's actually accelerating, but he can't fall because he's stuck in the gap. And so when he releases and gets unstuck from the gap, he's falling really fast. Because the game figured you've been falling for longer and you should be falling faster by that point. And so... and see Lathil do the same thing. So he uses that extremely fast falling to bounce himself all the way up to the top of this section of 3 gels, which normally would require a couple different layers of puzzles to get through. You see Lathil doing the same thing where he bounces him straight up through this tube and shoots right into the end. And now I see Lathil do the same trick Daniel did, where this pipe on the right that contains blue gel, or is supposed to contain blue gel, is actually bouncy. Lathil chokes it and actually decides to take the elevator, which is unusual. It's better than in full game. The elevator is a lot faster, but than it is in full game, but it's definitely not faster than tube bounce. So it's an interesting call. He must have a history of messing up tube bounce a lot for him to decide to do that. Anyway, so Lathil going into Chapter 8. Daniel's got a pretty substantial lead now. It's definitely chokeable, though. So Daniel just completing test here, as you have to complete the chamber twice.
It's literally your only purpose. Walking onto buttons. How can you not do the
Okay.
Warmer, boiling hot, okay, colder, ice cold, you're Arctic now.
So,
you're very cold.
Daniel clearing test at 25:01. Lathil entering this first room here at a couple seconds before then. So, yeah, Lathil's definitely probably at least 30 seconds, if not like 40 behind. So it's going to be tough for him to come back, but he can. So Daniel here gets a fly glitch. It basically tricks the game into thinking that you're still in the funnel when you're not by abusing the different hitboxes that you have when you're crouched and uncrouched. Anyway, this is something you can preserve between maps. So Daniel actually goes into the elevator with this glitch activated, and he comes out into ceiling button with this glitch still activated. So he's going to jump here, and he just goes straight up into the ceiling and can float over to the button. I want to talk about fly glitch a little bit because it looks a lot more cheaty than it really is. It obviously is not the intended way to play the game, and you're obviously not going to be playing the intended solutions this way. But it's tough to control. You have no vertical control while you're in fly, so if you jump, you go straight up, which is why you see Daniel stop bunny hopping entirely, because if he did jump, he would actually just go straight up into the ceiling, which would soft lock him. So you can't do that. Also, as I said earlier, if you go over 300 velocity, you lose air control. But if you aren't on the ground, then you also can't use friction to slow yourself down. So if you go over 300 velocity on accident, especially if you're going diagonally, you are going to be just going that direction until you hit something, which could be for a while. So it's definitely, it can be tough being in fly glitch. You definitely have to practice these fly glitch maps to make sure you don't mess them up massively. Daniel going through a funnel there, though, actually deactivates it. And so not every chamber is benefits from fly glitch, and so some chambers you're going to see him not use it for. And here Daniel actually shoots that grate with a portal. And so the grate is a portable surface. However, it's normally something your portals will go through, so it's not super intuitive. It would be a portable surface, but if you shoot the very edge of it in the right way, you can actually get the portal to land correctly on the grate, and he uses that to get himself to the end faster. Lathil getting slow fly somehow. You can have slower versions of the fly glitch, which is unfortunate. Daniel messes up that catch and didn't have a save, so he has to bunny hop back. Or here he just catches the box in midair, so he doesn't have to go through the whole process of using the bridge to stop it. And then instead of killing the turrets, he just puts the box on the button there. And I'm amazed that box didn't fall off the button. That button's awful.
Why can't you solve a simple test?
All right. Daniel seems frustrated, but you'd be pleased to know that he's got a pretty healthy lead of basically a full map. Well, really 2 maps actually. He's got about a 2-map lead. So Daniel here, there's faster ways to complete this chamber that Daniel's on, but we usually do it this way just because this allows you to get fly glitch and then also preserve it. This is the fastest way we were able to find to get the fly glitch, and then he uses that pipe to get himself to start moving down. Is that's what you have to do. If you want to move down, you can't just, look down and press W. You actually need to find something that has a right angle you can bounce off of to get down, so it's tough. Yeah, it's basically exactly a 2-map difference here. But getting the fly glitch that Daniel got makes this map so much easier. So he gets that cube, and then he's able to actually just put it down in the portal, and it'll kind of angle upward into that laser node. So, little oversight that the game developers had, but I don't blame them. That's a pretty awkward thing to have. So Daniel here going for... He gets chocolate milkshake, where he actually... his screen goes dark here because the game thinks he's going to die, but it doesn't. He actually just navigates that area correctly and is able to get into the map trigger to go on to propulsion catch. Here he's typing something into his console. I don't know what, so I can't read that. It's possible that was portal funneling. Normally you'd have a bind for that though, so I don't know why he wouldn't have a bind. Alright, kind of cut out there, but yeah, you turn off portal funneling for this trick that Daniel's on because you want to fly out of that portal at a really gross angle so that you actually get enough sideways momentum as well as upward momentum to make it to the end there. But he's having some trouble. A lot of runners have had trouble with this trick for some reason. There he gets it though. Takes him 3 tries. Obviously you're frustrated. I have a feeling, unless Daniel's listening to the stream or in a call with Lathil or something, I think Daniel thinks he's behind. So he'll be pleased to find out. I don't know if Lathil's going to get that. He might have launched himself into a hallway. I don't know if Lathil's... Yeah, it seems he's lost. Yeah, he either died or loaded a save there. So Lathil's going to lose a lot of time. At this point, there's not a whole... Chapter 9's... Oh, Daniel accidentally jumped and soft-locked himself. He's supposed to lose the fly glitch. He's gonna... Oh, he's loading a save. Oh, Daniel! Daniel choking repulsion polarity. All he has to do is get this fly glitch and fly to the end, and then lose the fly glitch. And it looks like he didn't lose the fly glitch. And the reason you lose it is because it's the next map is much faster without it. There he loses it. If you change your crouch state while you're in fly glitch, it will disable it as long as you haven't loaded anything in any new map or a new save or anything beforehand. So Daniel now on Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is a map that doesn't have a whole lot of choke points, but Lathil he caught up pretty well with Daniel's repulsion polarity. Probably about 20-25 seconds behind. I didn't see what Daniel's Finale 1 split was. So we'll see. It's possible to mess up parts of Finale, the Finale maps. Especially if you just play all of them a little bit slowly and Lathil plays them well. That's enough to definitely get that lead. So here Daniel just does this flame from the railing of the bottom catwalk instead of the top catwalk, just to do it, more quickly. Do you get there faster? Yeah, normally in full game we would actually keep the fly glitch from repulsion polarity to skip the entire cutscene of GLaDOS, talking about the cooperative testing initiative in the funnel, but the funnel's very fast in this, so it's actually faster to just take it. Daniel now is going to snag fly glitch because our finale routes actually do require fly glitch to work. We just don't have it on finale 1 because it's faster to do finale 1 without it. So Daniel goes here and gets it in finale 2 and floats himself over to this catwalk. which this is actually the exit catwalk to the area where Wheatley tries to smash you while you're in a funnel. We cut that out completely because there's the exit catwalk is in the same room as the entrance to that, so it's pretty easy to do. And Daniel messes that up a little. He goes for a safe route. The fastest way to do this is to just fly in front of the turrets and be really fast. Daniel elects not to do that, which is a good idea. I don't do it either. He decides to go with the safe route, and Lathil does as well, where he just uses his catwalk to get himself onto this pedestal and jumps up. And Lathil makes exactly the same mistake Daniel did. He's got a, you know, once you're going up, you can't stop going up if you're a fly. So he has to hit his head on this light to stop. And then he's able to use that beam to get himself down onto the catwalk again. And so at this point, Daniel is actually going to fly into this wall where there's a cable behind it that he can use to get himself going down. So he can land on that clip brush there and get into the funnel, or jump into the funnel. It's a lot of really not intuitive movement with this fly glitch. He disables it by going into the funnel, which is what you want. So Daniel now going into the boss fight. A decent bit ahead of Lathil. Daniel's probably going to get a 34 something, a low 34 time. A good boss fight is around 1:20 to complete on speedrun mods. So, you know, Lathil's he's got to basically pray Daniel messes something up. There is a way to shoot the moon early, and you'll probably see at least one, if not both runners do that. And the reason this matters, and we have to think about this, is because if you miss that shot, you lose 8 seconds, just like that, because you actually have to then fly out of the bomb room and get the angle to shoot the moon and everything. You lose 8 seconds.
Warning. Core corruption at 50%.
So, Lathil deciding to preserve his bombs. He doesn't get it. That's it for Lathil. You can get the bombs to sort of juggle between your portals, which allows you to just hit him in the next phase a little bit faster before he starts shooting the next wave of bombs. But Lathil messes that up, and he then misses a whole other bomb cycle. That was a disastrous phase 2 for Lathil there. Daniel finishing with a 34-16. Yeah, Lathil's obviously already lost this. I didn't see if he got early moon. I think he did. It looks like he did. Actually, no, did he? I'm not sure he did.
Stalemate resolution associate. Please press the stalemate resolution button.
Oh. Okay, he misses it. We didn't see him go for it, but he missed it. So you see how he actually has to get up and turn to look at the moon. You can't control any of that, so you just lose time if you don't get the early moon shot. All right. So they are going to be doing a best of 3. But Daniel takes the first race. Let me mark that. All right. So we're also, yeah, so we're gonna let the runners restart their games and get ready. Okay. So we'll see what happens. This was a relatively close race. It's very feasible that we go to 3 races. That could absolutely happen. It would not, I mean, they were 40 seconds apart. So who's to say? Okay. Actually, go ahead and mark that. All right. So, yeah, Lathil just going and pausing on first tick there. Okay. Also, fun fact: whoever wins this match is going to be facing Can't Even, who's the world record holder, next match. So, there's that. Just waiting on Daniel to be ready, and then we should be good. All right. Looks like Daniel hasn't said he's ready yet, but looks like he's in there. All right. Okay, I've counted off the runners, so we're going to be seeing some stream delay, but the race should start any second now. All right. So, for anyone who is new here, I'll just say it again. Portal 2 speedrun mod. It's Portal 2. It removes all the wait time, so the speedrun takes like half as long, but it's basically the same speedrun. This is race 2 of the Daniel versus Lathil match. Daniel has an advantage. He won the last race, so if Daniel takes this one, then Daniel takes the match. Lathil can come back, though, so we'll see what happens here. They are perfectly in sync right now. Daniel playing with a slight FOV, by the way, which I appreciate. FOV gain. I'll talk about some detail stuff, though, this race. You see both runners jumped on the button there. That's because when you place the cube on that button, the door actually takes a couple seconds to open because the chamber is supposed to be broken down and everything. And so by jumping on the button, the timer, that couple second timer actually starts early. So when you actually put the cube on the button, the door opens immediately. It saves a couple seconds to do this. So a little fun fact. There's no special tricks like that on this map.
Good. Because of the technical difficulties we are currently experiencing, your testing
Yeah, this is one that honestly I think Portal Carousel has got to be the most boring map of the entire game for a speedrun. Container Ride is more exciting than Portal Carousel. At least I think so. Daniel doesn't get a great boost. Lathil gets a much better one. You can bounce off of like a little amount of dirt on the bottom of that fall so that you can boost really, really quickly.
Some emergency testing may require prolonged.
Yeah, Lathil having some awkward hops there. So Daniel finishing at a minute 12, Lathil finishing at a minute 15. But as I said last race, these early maps, you really can't tell what's going to happen the rest of the race. Even when you're running against your own splits, you don't really care too much where you are in relation to your PB for these first few maps. As long as you're not, ridiculously far off. Daniel finishing at 38. Yeah, so it's still about a 3-second lead on Daniel, or from Daniel.
Center is currently being bombarded with fireballs, meteorites, or other objects from space.
Yeah, route-wise though, we should. Oh, okay. Daniel messes up getting the cube there, and Lathil also messed up getting the cube. But Lathil decides to load saves instead of going and getting it like Daniel did. So Daniel finishes at 203. Lathil finishes at 204. So they're probably less than a second
This
apart,
stress test
actually.
applies the principles of momentum to movement.
So that's pretty funny. They both messed up the same
Laws of
thing.
physics no longer
Oh,
apply in the future.
Daniel can't seem to get the
If
cube
you
on the
are a
button there.
non-employee who has discovered this facility amid the ruins
So
of
yeah,
the
Daniel's
city,
timer slightly ahead, but these two really, I mean, they're neck and neck right now.
testing is the future, and the future starts with
So we're gonna see what happens. Oh, Lathil doesn't get the button glitch. There he gets it. So he's gonna lose a decent amount of time against Daniel there. Still only 2 seconds behind though. So because Daniel had an awkward time putting the cube on the button, which is normally not a huge deal in a race, but right now they're just so close. Here is, you know, let the best bunny hopper win on this map, really. We got a 253 versus 256. So Daniel got a second on Lathil that map. This map also not too interesting. So this map really is just let the best B hopper win. Whoever gets the best movement in this, you know, really quite garbage place to bunny hop. It's actually terrible trying to jump through here. There's just so much angled nonsense. So we'll see who plays this. Looks like Daniel got a... no, I don't know if Daniel actually made time there. Yeah, about 3 seconds still. Yeah, they had about the same split time for wake up. Incinerator now. I think Lathil got a better drop in than Daniel. I didn't really see what Daniel's was though, so I could be wrong. So let's see how their portal stands are here. Right now, really though, as far as actually being able to make a call over who's going to get a good long run lead, we really just have to wait for one of them to mess up something. That's probably not going to happen until, I guess, laser over goo. Yeah, I guess I can correct my statement from last race. Laser over goo probably is the first big choke point in the game if you do wet maker. If you don't, then it's a pretty easy map really with any other route. But Daniel does do wet maker, and I didn't see if Lathil does wet maker. I think he does. We'll see though. But Lathil's still 3 seconds behind. They're just running at exactly the same pace here.
It's just a data point. If it makes you feel
Ooh.
better.
I wasn't sure Daniel got that switch, but he did. Lathil too. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I still think it's about a 3 second difference though. Alright, so Daniel gonna do wet maker, so if he wants to keep his lead, he's gotta get this. And he didn't. But Lathil could mess up his too, or as well. He does wet maker too. He gets it. Daniel's got to take this. Alright, so Lathil's probably going to get a lead here. And he does. About 3 seconds, so they've just swapped places relative to one another. This is a good race though so far. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the long run because, as I said, early game it's really hard to tell what's going to happen in the long run. Lathil gets the cube early, so that saves him some time. Daniel does too, but he doesn't get the boost downward. So Daniel's gonna have a slower catapult intro. So it'll probably be. No, he's still 3 seconds. I don't know how this 3 second gap has been being maintained so well, but it has. Ooh, Lathil gets a little awkward hop going through. That is the level of optimization we're looking for right now with this kind of very close race. Both runners get the strafe no problem though, and this really isn't a map that has anything too crazy. It's not a whole lot of stuff you can do to be super fast with this map. It's really just how quickly you go into the chamber and out of the chamber. The chamber itself is faith plates mostly. So we finish at 605 versus 606. Okay, Daniel gained on Lathil. 1 second difference, and they'd use different routes for this. Now, as I said last race, both the routes they use are roughly the same, but Lathil's almost guaranteed to get this first try, whereas Daniel could very easily mess it up, and he doesn't. Daniel, though, actually loses time. I do think the super reportal route is better. My guess is he just hasn't. I don't think he's learned it. I could be wrong. I think he just hasn't learned it though. So he just has the habit of doing the triple reportal. Ooh. So Daniel now about 5 seconds behind, which doesn't sound like much, but that's about the biggest difference we've seen between these two runners so far. So we'll see how Stealing Catapult goes. This is a longer map that definitely has some stuff that can lose a couple seconds here and there. Daniel getting that shot correctly. Oh, that's going to lose some big time. Daniel misses the button.
Look at you, sailing through the air
All
majestically,
right.
like an eagle.
But we are going into
Out
chapter
in the
3,
wind.
where there's, you know, Ricochet, Bridge the Gap, and Ricochet, as I said, not normally a
Enjoy this next
huge
step.
time loss
I'm
map,
going to go to the
but you mess up
surface.
that Ricochet
It's a
trick
beautiful
one
day.
time, and that's a good, you know,
Yesterday
probably
I saw
6
a
seconds
deer.
lost at least. So
If you solve this
um,
next test, maybe I'll let you ride an elevator all the way up to the
Lathil
break
has the
room.
double flame because he misses that reportal, and oh,
Elevator
all right.
all the way up to the break room.
Luckily, Lathil messed
Then
up the
I'll tell
trick
you about the time
early,
I saw a deer again.
so he won't lose as much time from having to try it again. He doesn't get it correctly, but is able to bounce with the cube up to the end. Daniel throws it and gets the throw. I approve, Daniel. I always do that throw. These guys are neck and neck. Lathil about 0.7 seconds ahead. 0.7 seconds obviously being, you know, absolutely nothing, because there's little bits of optimization can make that 0.7 difference. Ooh, Daniel running into a wall. That's a little bit of optimization that I'm talking about there. Lathil chooses to push the cube through the glass, which you can do with the portal next to it, but he misses it. I would not advise doing that route in general, because it falls off the button really often, in my experience. So that gives Daniel a couple seconds of lead, about 5 seconds, I think. So going into Bridge the Gap. Daniel had a tough Bridge the Gap, though. So, all right, he decides to go for this route just to guarantee that he doesn't mess it up, because you can't really mess this route up. Interesting. Okay. But Lathil goes for the normal speedrunning route, but messes it up. Oh, cube falls off the button too. Unfortunate. Yeah, Lathil's gonna need Daniel to choke something. Unfortunately for Lathil, though, there's not a whole lot to choke over the next few maps, at least. So Daniel will probably keep this lead for a little while. We'll see how they go out of turret intro here. Daniel finishing almost 9:15, just under 9:15. Oh, wow. That's unfortunate. So this is going to be about a 15-second lead from Daniel, which is huge compared to the lead we've been seeing. Yeah, about a 16-second lead from Daniel.
In a constant testing cycle, I simulate daylight at all hours and add adrenal vapor to your oxygen
Well,
supply. So
there's a lot. Chapter 6 is all... Honestly, you don't really get a great idea of what's going to happen until you're going out of Chapter 6 and 7. Unless, you know, obviously, unless, you know, one racer manages to get a huge lead in these first few chapters, but it's unlikely that that's going to happen.
That on you it looks stupid. Well, what does a neck-bearded old engineer know about fashion?
We'll see what happens, though. Lathil a little bit slow with getting those turrets out of the way there. Lathil can't afford to do that. He's got to be getting those seconds back on Daniel.
I have a surprise waiting for you after this next test.
So one thing that Lathil can hope to happen for Daniel, just looking at ways that Lathil can catch up, Daniel could have an unlucky pull the rug here where the cube falls off the button, because that loses a pretty hefty amount of time. Oh, okay, yeah, Daniel corrects that cube to make sure that doesn't happen, but he does lose time in correcting it. But yeah, yeah, if Daniel left that cube as it was, there's a good chance it would have fallen off and that would have happened, but Daniel almost getting a chamber lead on Lathil. Not quite, and this is a pretty short chamber, so it's not really gonna, you know, be a huge deal. I'm not sure that's gonna work.
I bet you think I forgot.
Oh, wow.
I didn't.
That was a bold cube placement with Lathil. I find if it's hanging off on the front, it is more likely to work than hanging off the back, but still sketchy.
I made it all
Daniel having a reasonable enough column blocker.
Oh, come
We'll see
on.
how Lathil does.
If you feel any better, they abandoned you at birth. So I very
Oh.
seriously doubt that even want to see
Oh,
you.
no. Alright, gets the reportal fine. Oh. That's really awkward. I haven't seen that one happen. That's going to lose Lathil a lot of time that he really cannot afford to be losing. Okay, so
Well, you know
Daniel
that
finishes laser chaining at 11:53. I didn't see if he messed up at all.
have been asleep
I
for
don't
a while.
think he did,
So I
though,
guess it's
because
actually
that's about the
really
difference
fun
I'd
when you
expect
do
after that column blocker. So we'll see. I know Lathil does a faster route on laser chaining, which is good for him. Can't get that portal down, but I don't actually even remember what time Daniel finished this on.
I came up with a solution that I honestly
Alright, Daniel entering the escape portions of the map. Probably nothing seriously wrong gonna happen.
warn you that this next test chamber
Until probably not until chapter 6, to be honest, because
the facility is completely operational.
pretty uneventful collection of maps coming up, the behind the scenes maps.
I've got a surprise.
Ooh, Daniel gets over there. That would have been a couple seconds that Lathil would have appreciated if Daniel missed that. But he does get it. He doesn't get it quickly, but he does get it.
What's going on?
Run! I don't need to do the voice. Run! 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 Come on!
Okay.
Close the door. Okay.
One thing Lathil might want him to do is actually to have Daniel go for the world record route on this map, but he's probably not going to because he didn't last run.
The future plans that I've got in store.
Oh, he goes for that jump around the invisible wall and misses it.
Again, though, for the moment.
Doesn't go for it a second time. That'll cost him a couple seconds.
Come on! Come on!
Daniel's probably got like a 20-second lead on Lathil, something like that. Just eyeballing it. So chooses to kill the turrets, which is really weird decision making. Normally these are some of the easiest turrets in the game to not kill, but maybe he has a history with them. But yeah, but that's fine. Killing those turrets, honestly, is going to lose roughly as much time as Daniel lost for messing up that trick, if not a little bit less. Okay. The Lathil entering Chapter 5 Turret Factory. They're on the same map now, but this is one of the longer maps in the game, so you'd expect that to happen. Turret Sabotage as well is a longer one, so we're going to see them on the same map for a little bit here. But they're not too close together. It's still probably about a 20-second lead if I had to just eyeball it. Oh, Lathil having a bit of a running into the rail situation there. All right.
Nobody knows what they're screaming about. Here's an interesting story. You might like this. I almost got a job down here in manufacturing, but guess who the foreman went with? Only
So,
an exact duplicate of himself. Nepotism.
Daniel going into Turret Sabotage.
Tending to all the smelly humans. Sorry, that's.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel's probably going to maintain this lead for a little while here, just because, as I said, there's really nothing to happen. The next map that we could see some change in lead on is probably Cave Johnson, where with the combination of that reportal and that shot around the cliff, definitely, they're, neither of them are consistent enough to just get first try every time, so you're going to see maybe a couple seconds lost from either runner on that. Okay. I'm not sure if something happened. I feel like Daniel's lost a part of his lead on Lathil. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, probably not, actually. They're close to each other in the map. But this... uh-oh. It's not getting the shot. There we go. That took a little bit. Sometimes the shot's stubborn. It's usually pretty cooperative, though.
Like a buzzer or an alarm of some kind, or like a hacker alert. I mean, yeah, fair enough. The important thing is it's open, but
All right. This is an important thing to note, yeah. So Lathil is in the red. Lathil, I think his splits are 20 seconds ahead overall, ahead of Daniel's. As in, like, he finishes 20 seconds ahead of Daniel.
Low-hanging fruit and all that. Daily science, really, is it?
Um,
Don't worry, I'm absolutely guaranteeing you 100% that it's the... Okay, let's try this way. All right, now, she can't use her turrets.
okay.
Ha! I knew we were going the right way. This is the neurotoxin generator. Bit bigger than I expected. Not going to be able to just, push it over. Have to apply some cleverness.
So,
There's our handiwork.
once again,
Shouldn't laugh, really. They
I
just-
mean, this map also, it's less cycle-based on Neurotoxin Sabotage than it is in full game. It is still cycle-based. And I think the cycles are roughly like a second and a half apart or something. So. Oh. Alright. So let's see when they enter into Chapter 6, just to get an idea of the lead. So, Daniel enters Chapter 6 at 16:54. This map is probably 25 seconds long or so it's probably about what the lead is. We'll see, though. It might be closer to 20. Maybe it's more a 20-second map. I don't really remember. I don't know what my splits look like. Oh, pokes a little bit there.
No, stop! No! No!
Okay. It's almost a 30-second lead that Daniel has. Just pretty substantial. That's a repulsion intro kind of lead. Cave Johnson's not going to be enough to close that. You're going to need repulsion intro to do some dirty work. So we'll see. Let's see what Daniel does here on Cave Johnson, because if he has a good Cave Johnson, then that puts Lathil in a really bad position, because Lathil could easily lose time on Cave Johnson. So you hope that Daniel gives him some leeway here. So we're just going to see. So he gets that in 2 shots. Not good news for Lathil. I can't decide how to pronounce Lathil's name, by the way, so I keep changing my mind. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Alright, and he gets the reportal first try. That's very bad news for Lathil. That's a pretty good Cave Johnson from Daniel. So you hope Lathil... Changed my mind again. Whatever it is. You hope he has a... Oh! Well, that's not good. Okay. Paying attention to Daniel also. As I said, this is a repulsion intro kind of lead that Daniel has. Daniel has to have a terrible repulsion intro, and that is what Lathil needs to get ahead. First chamber's okay. He doesn't do cube clip. Which is a reasonable enough decision, you know. But he also doesn't get the button save in the first chamber, so he does just generally a slower route, but he does do this. Okay.
All right, let's get started. This first test involves something the lab boys call repulsion gel. You're not part of the control group, by the way. You get the gel. Last portion
Yeah,
of the gun blue paint.
Daniel had a reasonable
All joking
repulsion
aside,
intro.
did happen.
But Lathil does do a faster route, so if Lathil executes his route well, then he's going to get a lead on Daniel anyway. Hopefully he doesn't go for... Oh, okay. No, it's fine. He goes for it once, and then... Alright, that's reasonable enough, actually. Going for that trick once, because it does save quite a bit of time if you get it. Ooh, he doesn't get that hop across. He does get the gel, though, for the backup, but that's not going to do well. Yeah, Daniel about a full map ahead, though. Finishing out bomb flames as Lathil finishes out repulsion intro. Neither of these runners go for Crazy Buck stuck launch, which... Yeah, okay, he doesn't. He goes for straight, yeah. So they're not... We're probably not going to see really much potential to choke Crazy Box. But, I mean, who knows? Lathil doing riskier strats despite being behind here. I'm curious what the runners actually think about their positions, because I don't know if they're communicating at all with each other or with the stream, but most runners don't. So a lot of the time when you're in these races, you don't know whether you're ahead or behind. You just know how you're doing, and so I wonder if either of these runners believe that they're ahead or behind.
Keeping during this next test, let us know. Because that means it's about to hit 500 degrees, so we're going to need to go ahead and get that out of here pretty fast.
Okay. Yeah, next big mess up chamber probably is going to be conversion intro. Unless one of them has a hard time on propulsion intro, which is Daniel's next map. But right now, ooh, that portal surface that Daniel was just shooting, that is terrible. It just doesn't like to place the portal there. I'm not sure why. He decides to just go for the other surface, which is a pretty reasonable decision to make. It's frustrating, though, when you lose a couple seconds to that, because it's just like, why, you know? Why does that need to happen? Okay. Yeah, Daniel has no issue on propulsion intro, so that's not going to happen. Propulsion Flames is a pretty consistent map, so that's probably not something we're going to see any developments on. But you never know, you know. Big thing with running this game is it's very possible you just all of a sudden in the middle of a run, you go on a map that you thought was totally consistent and you throw it and you find a way. Oh, and Daniel actually messes that up just as I say that. He gets a second try, though. It's not a huge time loss. But Lathil will take any he can get, really. And actually, if you remember, Daniel had a tough end of Chapter 8 last run. He lost a lot of time. He was really far ahead of Lathil during most of Chapter 8, and it was relatively close, actually, going out of Chapter 8. So, ooh, Lathil messes that up, too. Jeez. All right, then. So, both runners struggled with the reportal in the conversion intro test chamber last race. So we'll see if they improve with this. Oh, yeah, so we'll see if they improve here. It's really not a difficult reportal, but it's one that every runner finds a way to mess up anyway. Daniel does the reportal early. That's different. Actually, slightly slower to do it that way, now that I think about it, because you have a higher flame on that second, but yeah, I don't know why you do it that way. That's weird. Works out fine for him, though. But yeah, it's probably about a second slower than the normal reportal route that Lathil will probably go for, so that's like 1 second Lathil could get if he does this route without an issue. What on earth? Is he doing the safe route? No. Oh, okay. Also different. That's faster than Daniel's route if you do it quickly, but he didn't do it that quickly. It took him some time to get the portal over on the floor, so... Both really unconventional conversion intro reportals, but, you know, you do it fine. Daniel accidentally doesn't get stuck, so that loses him a couple seconds. Has no problem though now, and so we'll see if he messes up two bounds. You hope that Lathil decides not to take the elevator, because he really needs to be optimizing his run at this point in the game if he wants to take this race, and the elevators just isn't the play. I mean, oh, that gel is in a tough spot actually. Oh man. Lathil not able to stay up there. Okay, there we go. That's gonna lose him a decent hunk of time, though. All right, so we'll see what he does. I mean, he did this last race where he went for it, but yeah, he's gonna go for the elevator. It looks like he can. No, he doesn't. Okay. All right. A little questionable. Yeah, it seems like he's not as comfortable with two bounce as a lot of the other runners are. I don't know. I think he's a challenge mode runner. I don't really know for sure. Most of the pros, though, it seems, are challenge mode runners. So, you know, if that's the case, then two bounce isn't actually part of challenge mode because the flags are before that point of the map. So that might be why. Who knows? Anyway, So there's a couple maps that I'm thinking that Daniel would, need to have a throw on. First thing, I guess, in general, is if Daniel doesn't catch Fly Glitch when he's supposed to in either this map or in Laser Catapult, then that'll lose him a decent chunk of time. He gets it here, though. That's an unlikely way to lose time. Normally, it's not a problem, but sometimes you just don't catch it when you expect to.
Or I get this itch, you know? It must be hardwired.
The next big thing, I'm trying to remember if Daniel shoots the funnel on wall button. Because if he doesn't, that's a cube throw that not too often, if you've practiced it, it's usually fine, but I've definitely seen it lose big chunks of time. From even some of the best runners losing big chunks of time on wall button to just the cube not cooperating.
It's all right. Everything's good. I just invented some more.
So we'll see if that happens. He might shoot the funnel. If he shoots the funnel to get it on the wall, then it's pretty much guaranteed to not mess up. But I don't remember what he does, so we'll see what happens here.
Well done. Seriously, both of you. Why didn't you choose?
Yeah, he does shoot the funnel, so plays that safe. Probably a good move. Ooh. The door accidentally boosts him up, though, so he's not on the ground. That's a sort of fly glitch problem you have to worry about. Okay.
Oh, yes. Well.
So the next thing, really, for Daniel, ways for Lathil to catch up here. Next big thing probably is this next map, funnel catch. That great shot is pretty awkward. He got it really easily last run. What?
Hundreds of perfectly good test chambers just sitting there.
I'm not sure what's going on Daniel's game there. I've never seen that happen before. It's like an earthquake hit aperture. Oh, did his game crash? Oh. Daniel's game crashed. Luckily, we have ways to recover these runs.
Apparently, being civil isn't. It's not enough. If I'm such a moron, why can't you solve a simple test?
That will lose him some time, which is unfortunate for him because, what can you do? So these timers are going to be kind of offset, but, we'll just. I'm not going to pause Lathil while we wait for Daniel because it could take him a minute or two. So it's going to be a little tough to compare, but ooh, Lathil gets a pretty good funnel catch though. And yeah, he's going to lose time because he's going to have to load whatever his last save was. Which is worst case scenario, an autosave at the beginning of the map. And then then he has to actually beat funnel catch, which is a map that's notorious for losing runners time. So ooh, Lathil using a reportal there. That's fancy. I've seen that before, but it's pretty nice. Anyway. Yeah, Daniel should be able to time it. His timer might be frozen, though, so we might not actually be able to see what his time is live. So a little bit of anticipation. But if Daniel recovers this crash nicely, then he shouldn't lose too much time, and he had a pretty healthy lead before, so should be fine. But yeah, Daniel was just going ahead and doing the technicalities of getting the timing correct with the... Oh, no! Oh, you hate to see it. You have to bump your head on this pipe in the right way, and he just keeps not... You have to kind of strafe into it so that you get pushed downward, and he just isn't doing that enough. Alright, there we go. So, he had a pretty tough chocolate chip milkshake, or chocolate milkshake, I guess is what he was doing. So we'll see if Lathil has a better time with this. Yeah, so Daniel looks like had to load an autosave, which isn't great. But he got his time working. I don't think I'll pause it. Just because the gap is so large, so we'd have to pause it for a couple minutes.
You're right.
Alright, Daniel's just told me he's crashed again. Not sure how or where. Some people have a really bad issue with Speedrun mod crashing.
For you, obviously. Who else would I be doing it for? No one. You, obviously. Who else would I be doing it for? No one.
Oh, he dies. Maybe that's where his game crashed. His timer reset too. And his SAR is frozen. Is it timing?
Alright, he's not even trying to be subtle anymore. Or maybe he still is, in which case...
This is really unfortunate for Daniel.
Surprise.
I'm not sure his timer's running. Well, hopefully he's recording demos and he can time them. So we'll see what happens.
Even trying to be subtle anymore.
But yeah, it looks like Daniel's game crashed there. So
In which case, wow, that's kind of...
Lathil having a pretty tough repulsion polarity. This race is getting increasingly difficult to keep track of what's going on because we really have no idea whether Daniel is ahead or behind of Lathil with his game continuously crashing like this. He was decently far ahead, so he's going to have to suffer a lot from this crash in order to lose, but it's very possible he does.
What your big surprise is? Well, only two.
But yeah, what's probably going to happen here is we're going to see Lathil finish. I'm going to see his time, and then we're just going to have to decide whether we think Daniel can beat it or not. It's Daniel somehow, in all this chaos, has gotten himself onto laser catapult, so
No, don't do that. Hello.
hopefully that's the end of his crashing,
Do come back, please. Come back, please. Okay. Look.
and hopefully he's recording demos,
Okay. Oh.
so that because his SAR timer is
Just thinking back to
on 0,
the old days when we were
and his live split timer is on 0. So hopefully he's recording demos to time.
Nah, you're not coming back. Which is, oh, I've got an
We'll
idea.
see what happens though.
Ha! Death trap! Did something break back there? Ha! Was that your bullet riddled body flying out of the room? It was. Oh, those were the crap turrets, weren't they? Yeah. Well, no matter.
But yeah, Lathil on Finale 2, he's taking the safe route. We already know when he gets to the turrets, so... Oh. Hopefully he's not letting his guard down, though, because he's in the same chat, that we all are, and he knows that Daniel's game has crashed twice. But, hopefully he's not letting his guard down, because that really isn't going to... That'll definitely help him. Daniel will lose time to those crashes from having to load saves and redo small parts of his run, but not that much time. It's just going to be really hard to compare the two.
Crashing's too good for him. First, he'll spend a year in the incinerator. Year 2, cryogenic refrigeration wing. Then...
All right.
in the chamber I built where all the robots...
So my guess...
Okay, I'll take this go then.
Yeah, Lathil's probably gonna get a 34 something. Probably a high 34. Just something like that. Which isn't. I mean, that's an okay time. It's not a stellar performance from him, but it's not terrible, Yeah, I will. Okay, it might end up being like a mid or low 34. Probably a mid 34, like a 34 25 or something like that. Maybe 34 30. Daniel's starting chapter 9, but we really have no idea where he is relative to Lathil with the crashes. So he could. I mean, for all we know, he could be very far ahead. I haven't been paying a ton of attention to Daniel because it's just been hard. So I don't know whether he's seriously choked any chambers. So we'll just have to see, because that matters a lot. Okay.
Quick, what's the situation? Oh, hey.
Warning.
So
75%.
yeah, this is pretty I mean, I don't really know what to say about the race. So we're not even gonna, so we can't see Daniel's time, so we're not even gonna know whether he beat Lathil or not until Daniel reports it through demo timing. Oh,
100%.
that was weird. Daniel accidentally got boosted upward
Stalemate
in
resolution
the funnel
associated.
fly.
Please press the stalemate resolution button.
See if Lathil gets a moonshot here. And he does. 34, 34. Yeah, about a mid 34, higher mid 34 though than I expected. So I'm just gonna watch Daniel finish this up, and it'll probably take Daniel a couple minutes to actually figure out what his time is. So we'll see what happens. So there's no serious choke points between Daniel and the end of the game. So we'll just see. We just have to see how optimized his run is, really, particularly his finale 4. And I'll let you guys know what Daniel's time is if he's able to get it. I'd imagine he is. If he's recording demos, he should be fine. Just hope he didn't forget to. Because then I guess, yeah, Lathil would have to take this race. But that wouldn't be a bad thing because, you know, 3 races would be exciting. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, Lathil, it was actually unbelievably close for the first couple chapters. You guys were going into chapter 3. Somewhere in chapter 3, you guys, I think, were less than a second apart. It was really, really close. But yeah, you were about 20 seconds behind Daniel for most of the run until he crashed, and now we have absolutely no idea. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't actually know if Daniel choked any maps in chapter 8 because I wasn't really paying attention to him because his game kept crashing. So hopefully, all right. So Daniel has just said he's going to time his demos, so he's just finished his run. We're seeing stream delay is why he's not actually done on stream. We'll see what happens. So yeah, the end. Oh, little choke there, not terrible. I have a feeling it's going to be close, especially if Daniel misses this moonshot. Because if Daniel had about a 20, 30-second lead on Lathil last week, could tell. This is 8 seconds if he misses this. And to be honest, I don't even know if he did miss it. It looked kind of off. Yeah, he does. So that's a large portion of the lead that he did have on Lathil. So this is probably going to be very close. Oh, wow. So Daniel reports he had a 34-38. So he loses to Lathil by 4 seconds, which is so unfortunate because those crashes definitely lost him more than 4 seconds. So without them, he would have likely won the race. Wow. Okay, so we are going to be going to game 3. That's crazy that happened. You gotta feel bad for Daniel though there because yeah, if he did exactly that same run but his game didn't crash 2 times, he would have absolutely won the race. It would have been close still, but he would have won. So that's unlucky. But what can you really do? All right. Do we actually have? Okay, so we're going to be going out of game 3. Do we have the time? So What are we on? SpeedGaming 5? This is SpeedGaming 5. Okay. Oh, we have until 7:30. Okay. Yeah, we can absolutely do another. All right. So Daniel's going to try something to hopefully guarantee he doesn't crash. Let me add one to Daniel's or Lathil's score here. Man, that's crazy. Wow, wow, wow. All right. Daniel is just practicing this map really quick because this is a map that he crashed on, and this is also a map that a lot of people crash on. So he's just checking he did not crash. So hopefully that's what happens when he's in the race. Let's advance to the next race. And from the top, whenever Daniel says he's ready. All right. I'm getting confirm from both runners that we're ready for the countdown, that they're paying attention. All right. And here we go. And yeah, so I've counted them off. Race should start any second. Same old, same old. Let's see what happens. So that was a really close race because Daniel probably lost in total, I'd guess 10 seconds maximum from those crashes. You know, it's a shame he had to start from the beginning of each chamber, but he crashed near. Oh wait, actually, did he lose? He might have lost more time on his second crash. I'm trying to remember when he crashed on that map and when he was able to get back. I'm not sure. We'll ask Daniel in the post race interview about that, how much time he really lost. But if he lost like 10 seconds, even that means he was going to win by 6 seconds, which is a very small margin. So that was a close race regardless, and it's a real shame for Daniel that happened to him.
The portal will open and emergency testing will begin in 3, 2,
okay.
1.
And here we go again. At this point, I think I'm probably past the point of explaining how the route works.
Even in a dire emergency.
If anything new comes up, I guess I'll talk about it. But you know, by now, if you guys have questions, if you're in the chat and you want to know how something works, let me know. If you want to know how a chamber was done, let me know. But I went over some of the stuff the last 2 races, so I'm not going to talk about everything because there's just so much to talk about. So I'm going to talk about the race a little bit more. But I'm happy to talk about mechanics if you guys want. So let me know in chat.
Good. Because of the technical
all right.
difficulties we are currently experiencing, your test environment is unsupervised.
So out of Portal Carousel, they're basically. Daniel's barely ahead. Not really though. It's a fake amount of ahead. It's like you bonk your head the wrong way on a piece of metal, and that's the time. That's the lead that Daniel has. So nothing really to write home about there. Oh, little freeze up on Daniel's stream, not a problem though. Okay.
Some emergency testing may require
with
lethal military androids. Rest assured that all lethal
okay.
androids have
been yeah. Lethal didn't have a great portal gun there. He's 4 seconds behind, I think. Which is a bigger gap than we saw last race, but not by a ton. And as I've said many times now, you really don't know at the beginning of the game. You really can't say, oh. Okay, Daniel had a little slip up with getting the cube through the door. I guess I never talked about that. By putting the portal next to the door, you can push the cube through it because it thinks it's going through the portal because it's a wall and you have to go through the wall to go through the portal, things like that.
If the enrichment center is currently being with fireballs,
okay.
meteorites, or other objects from space, Please avoid
Oh.
unsheltered testing areas wherever a lack of shelter from space debris.
Daniel messes up the portal stand.
Well done. The enrichment
Daniel is
center
ahead
that although
by
circumstances
4
may
seconds.
appear
Oh
favorable, you
my.
are not.
Imagine throwing cube momentum. That's...
This next test applies the
Well.
principles of momentum to movement through portals. If the laws of physics no longer apply,
They're like neck and neck
you
again.
are a non-employee
They're very
who
close.
has discovered this facility amid the ruins of civilization. Welcome. And remember, testing is the future. And the future starts...
So hopefully neither of them mess up the button glitch here. Alright, Lathil gets it, no problem.
Good work getting this far, future starter. That said, if you are simple-minded, bold...
And Daniel looks like got it, no problem. So Lathil finishing, 225. Daniel finishing, 231. And so yeah, Lathil has a 6-second lead. Once again, something that can easily be made up for the rest of the game. But it would be really, really unfortunate for Daniel if he lost this race, because had he not crashed last game, he would have walked away with the match, and we would not be here right now. It would be over. Daniel would have won. And that'd be that. But his game crashed twice, and so now we're racing again. And if he loses this, he loses the match, and that's just really unfortunate for him. But you know, it's not a whole lot you can do about it. You got to make sure the timing is accurate, especially in a close race like that. So, you know, we can't really assume anything about how the racers would have played had the game crashes not happened. All right, so Lathil finishing 323, Daniel 323, a slightly higher one, less than a second difference though. Lathil gets a good drop, and Daniel not so much, so he'll lose a couple seconds to that.
Good. You have a dual portal device. There.
Oh, kind of awkward incinerator. Daniel having a bit of a moment on incinerator here. Obviously, it's not like he's throwing the map exactly, but it's yeah, that's
By the way, thanks for that.
that's unfortunate for him. Oh my goodness. Lathil can't seem to figure out where he can put the portal. There we go. All right, that'll probably close the gap that was generated by incinerator. 407 versus 40. Oh, Daniel's ahead actually by about 2 seconds. This is the sort of thing, though. I mean, these are the races that we're really going to be seeing. You know, these close races of two racers that are consistently playing pretty well. You know, higher level racers, the ones that are able to get into the later rounds of the tournament, and we're going to be seeing races like this where they're going to be neck and neck for the first, like, probably third of the game every time, because there's really just not a whole lot of variability with this part of the run.
Most people emerge from suspension.
So these races are going to keep being exciting in this tournament. About a second difference now with Daniel ahead. But the later we go, yeah, I mean, this tournament's going to be ridiculously fun to watch and to commentate, quite honestly. And so Lathil, Wetmaker first try. Daniel, nope. Daniel is ahead by only 1 second. He can't afford to have this happen. He's definitely behind now. He can't seem to hit Wetmaker.
This next test involves the aperture
there we go.
aerial faceplate.
Okay. That's going to lose a pretty hefty chunk of time.
When they were catapulted into space.
But, you know, last race they were neck and neck at this point, and now Lathil's got a decent lead, not a huge lead. But Lathil ended up 20 seconds behind last race, so if he loses that same 20 seconds against Daniel, Daniel gets ahead then by a little bit. So, oh, that's actually hilarious. Daniel got the cube boost down but didn't grab the cube, so he ended up launching the cube away from him and had to reload a save. That's really not great for him.
Oh, sorry. I'm still cleaning out the test chambers, so sometimes
there's
still trash in them, standing around, smelling and being useless. Try to avoid the garbage hurtling towards you. Remember before when I was talking about smelly garbage standing around being useless?
Yeah, this map, I don't see any changes in the lead happening here. There's nothing really to happen and nothing to go on. Same with Pit Flames, where you have Lathil here. He's going to do the Super Reportal, which is a very consistent route. Daniel's going to do the Triple Reportal, which is a less consistent route. To most runners, I don't know, maybe he's just like amazingly good at it, and that's why he does it, but I don't even think it's faster, so I'm not sure. Okay.
This next test involves emancipation grills. Remember, I told you about
Lathil
them
have a
last
very
test
solid
day.
Fizzler
Well, I
intro.
have one.
That was very good. And Daniel, oh, yeah, he messes up that reportal. Uh-oh. Daniel getting behind in the early game is really not good. Then because if you get behind in the early game, you need to rely on you know, your opponent choking the mid game rather than being able to just outplay him. Oh, Lathil missing the reportal there though. It's not nearly enough for Daniel to catch up at this point, but it's definitely something.
Like an eagle, piloting a balloon.
Okay. Yeah, this is probably going to end up being about a 15-20 second lead for Lathil. We'll see.
Beautiful day out. Yesterday I saw a deer.
That's if Daniel has like a good
maybe I'll let you ride an elevator all the way up to the
ceiling.
break room.
Oh, ceiling catapult. Which he goes for a safer route here, which will save him. Actually, it'll save him time against Lathil because Lathil messed up the reportal.
I didn't see the deer today.
Okay. So let's see what happens. Bridge the Gap is what I'm interested to see because we've seen both runners mess up Bridge the Gap. I think Lathil messed up Bridge the Gap at least a little bit last run, and Daniel really choked it his first race. So, Daniel though decided to go for a safe route and Bridge the Gap his second race because he just didn't want that to happen again. So we'll see if Daniel opts to do that again. I think he's probably going to. Daniel has to finish bridge intro first, though. Lathil, on the other hand, didn't mess it up enough last run. I don't think he's going to go for the slower route. I think he's going to go for the fast one, and he does.
Learn from you how not to have your well done. In fact, you did so
pretty solid, actually. Ooh, stubs his toe there, but not too bad. All right, so Lathil finishing Bridge the Gap at 8:38. And Daniel so yeah, if Daniel has a really solid Bridge the Gap, then he's maybe 15 seconds behind, 10, 15. I don't really know. I don't play challenge mode, so I don't have a great idea of exactly how long maps take individually. Not that it really translates anyway, but yeah, Daniel taking a safe route. Really weird safe route though he's taking. I feel like that's not the best way to go about. I feel like it would almost be faster to just turn around and bunny hop to the exit.
Adrenal vapor to your oxygen supply, so you may be confused about the passage of time.
But he did that route last run, and he basically would have won had his game not crashed. So it's fine, you know. It seems he can afford to take that sort of time loss.
That jumpsuit you're wearing looks stupid.
Okay.
That's not me talking. It's right here in your file. On other people, it looks fine. But right
so Daniel, a little bit less than one laser relays map behind Lathil. It's really unfortunate for him to be this far behind this quickly, but you know, I mean, it's crazy to say that because really most of the matches we've seen in this tournament we've had leads often larger than this one by this point in the game. But we really, you have to get used to the idea that these sorts of leads aren't going to be normal in these later matches because, if you play all the chambers in the first few chapters without any serious mess-ups, then you're going to have pretty close races. And so this is just a really unfortunate situation for Daniel to be in, really, for how close these two runners are in skill.
It says this next test was designed by one of Aperture's Nobel Prize winners. It doesn't say what the prize was for. Well, I know.
And Daniel's pretty deep in the red, which you'd expect, for him having this tough of an early game.
I forgot about your surprise. I didn't.
Lathil is in the green, and he has a better PB, I think. So, yeah, pacing-wise, Lathil's, I mean, you can see it, but, yeah, in timing, you expect it. Lathil has a pretty healthy lead. Lathil placing that cube awfully close to the portal.
Seriously, Lathil,
I guess that works out okay, though.
You.
Ooh. Not able to get the timing on the reportal. Yeah, reportal's timing is pretty tight. You know, it's a timing that you use so often in speedrunning. That's something you get used to, and you don't really mess it up very often. But it's really tight because you have to be at a very specific location relative to the portal in order for you to actually get the boost. Yeah, it's something I don't think speedrunners totally appreciate. How like we're able to just do it, like we're able to get that timing so consistently when it's really very precise. It's definitely something you have to practice a lot though when you start speedrunning this game. Okay, I think Daniel had a better column blocker than Lathil, which is good for him. Lathil finishing out laser chaining at 11:44. We'll see where Daniel finishes. But Daniel has a slower route, so that's not good for him.
The facility is completely operational again.
I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but something looks like it went wrong.
I've got a surprise for you after this next
Yeah.
test. Not a fake, tragic surprise.
Yeah, Daniel's probably going to have a 25-second, or Lathil, I mean, is going to have a 25-second lead. Yeah, that's about what we're looking at. So, here we are in the escape sequence of the game, which is pretty easy speedrun-wise. This is one of the few spots that you can mess up that Lathil did. And he opts to go for it again. And he gets it. And he did it fast. That's probably a time save, but it's definitely one of those cases where you wonder, should you just go around and do the intended route, or should you try to get that jump again? It's a questionable area. A lot of speedrunners make different decisions at that point if they mess that up. All right.
Ah, brilliant! You made it through. Well done. Okay, follow me. We've still got work to do. At least you can't touch us back here.
All right, see if Daniel goes for this jump. Yeah, he decides not to.
They say that the old
It's probably not a bad idea for him to play this safe, because he definitely doesn't want to get in a worse position than he is with respect to Lathil. But at the same time, if he plays it too safe, then he's going to get in a worse position just by doing slower routes. So it's a tough balance to catch, just in general with speedrunning, but especially during a race when you have to take into account where you think the other runner might be, and whether you can afford to do riskier strats. Because your goal in a race isn't necessarily to PB, your goal is to just beat out the other runner, which, you know, actually will often change speedrunners' decisions and how they handle stuff. So they also can't reset at all in a race, because it's, you know, it's obviously a race. You can't reset your run. So yeah, a lot of times you'll see runners make slightly different decisions in what route they take than they would normally in a run. I know I certainly have.
Turret redemption lines are not rides. Please exit.
Oh, Lathil missing that reportal, but it's not really a big time loss. That's more of a bonus if you manage to get it kind of route. We'll see what route Lathil can get. If he has to do pancake shot here, which between the two routes, getting the turret, which he just did, and doing pancake, they're pretty comparable, provided you get the turret just as you're hopping through. Like he did there. If you have to stop and wait for the turret at all, then it just isn't worth doing, because pancake shot is really about the same speed. And honestly, if you're good at pancake shot and you can get it really fast consistently, it's actually faster to just not get the turret at all, no matter what. But it's a harder route to do, so not all runners will do this. So you'll see some other runners, some less advanced runners with higher PBs, you'll see sometimes will stop and wait for the turret, despite it being slower, because they just don't know if they're going to be able to get the lineup for the pancake shot quickly enough. But both runners here get the turret quickly, which is pretty good for them.
Don't worry, I'm absolutely guaranteeing you 100% that it's this way. Okay, Okay, let's try this one. All right, now she can't use.
Okay.
Ha! I knew we were going the right way. This is the neurotoxin generator. Bit bigger than I expected.
At this point, it's just bunny hopping for both of them through the end of turret sabotage for Daniel and neurotoxin sabotage for Lathil. There's really, yeah, there's really nothing here that's gonna mess him up. Daniel choosing to go behind Wheatley at that point. You can get stuck on Wheatley on that section that Daniel was just on, and so it's dangerous to go in front of him because if he catches up to you, then it's possible to soft lock. That's never happened to me. You can soft lock. Usually you'll just lose a bunch of time because it'll take a while for him to get unstuck off of you. So you only really want to go in front of him if you're pretty confident that you can outrun him.
Not so fast.
Stalemate resolved.
No! Stop! No! No!
Okay. Yeah, Daniel probably 25 seconds. But Daniel's honestly probably about as far behind Lathil as Lathil was behind Daniel last race. Which you hate to see if you're Daniel right now. You hate to see it. Oh. Alright. We'll see what Lathil does. So, again, just like last race, I'd say it's a really good time to pay attention closely to Lathil because the next two maps after this are both maps where runners can lose a lot of time on, particularly Repulsion Intro. And so the amount of time available for Daniel to save is really going to be decided very heavily by those two maps because that's a big percentage of potential time loss is in these two maps that Lathil's just starting now. So you really want to see what happens here. Because if he has a good... If both of these maps go well for him, then Daniel's in trouble because, you know, Daniel either has to play the maps really well and not gain time on him, or he messes them up, which is more likely than usual, and loses even more time, so you hate to see that. Alright, Lathil having an okay Cape Johnson. We bounce off the rail there, that's good. So see, you know, I mean, it's definitely when you can get... It's an improvable Cape Johnson, obviously. So let's see if Daniel has a decent one. He can definitely go faster. But Lathil, now going into Repulsion Intro. Now Lathil does a button glitch here and then does Cube Clip Junior. Well, he attempts Cube Clip Senior and then does Cube Clip Junior. So if he gets Cube Clip Senior here, he has a very good shot at getting ahead of Daniel, but he doesn't. It's pretty inconsistent. But he gets Cube Clip Junior first try. It's just... Okay. So, you kind of hate to see this if you're Daniel, because Daniel, it looks like he struggled a little bit on Cape Johnson, and Lathil had a very good Repulsion Intro, and this is exactly the situation I was talking about that you don't want to be in if you're Daniel, because now you have to go into what I think is the hardest map of the game, the map that loses people the most time, and you have to play it well. If you want to not get punished harder against Lathil, you just don't want to be in that spot. That's a horrible, horrible position to be in. Especially when you do a slower route. So even if you play it well, you'll probably lose time against him. So yeah, you just hate to see this if you're Daniel. And then Lathil also getting this Bomb Fling Super Reportal first try, which is not too many runners go for in full game, and he does it well. And Daniel messing this up here, going for this backup strat. Not a worst idea. I know I was doing this in races for a while. It's safe. It's a good option. But once again, slower than what Lathil did, and so he's gonna lose a bunch of time. It's a really unfortunate situation. So at this point, if you're Daniel, you know, you're on the same skill level as Lathil. If you both just play your normal game, you're not going to get enough time on Lathil. So what you're waiting for Lathil to throw a map. Once he throws a map, Daniel's got to go to that map and play it well. And he just needs that to happen a couple times. And then also, you know, outplaying Lathil by a couple seconds just over time isn't the worst thing either. So he's got to play well. He's got to hope for Lathil to mess up. because I just don't see him winning if Lathil doesn't throw a map between now and the end of the game, then I just don't see Daniel winning.
So as long as you keep yourself in top physical form, there will always be a limo waiting for you. Say goodbye, Carolyn. Greetings, friend.
Okay.
Dave Johnson, CEO of Aperture Science. You might know us as a vital participant in the 1968 Senate hearing.
But there's not really a great map to throw, unfortunately, for Daniel. The best one in the entire game for throwing is Repulsion Intro, and Lathil did it quite well. So that's, you know, unfortunate. But
Yes, sir, Mr. Johnson.
this is possible to throw. He doesn't throw it. It's unlikely he'll throw it. It's, you know, it's something, once you practice it, it's not too hard of a shot to make. So Daniel will probably be fine on that map as well.
If you're interested in an additional $60, flag down a test associate and let
Yeah. Both runners do really weird conversion intro strategies, though. Both of them messed it up first race. Both of them hit it second race, but like they were weird strategies. And Daniel's, I think, is slightly slower. Not by much, though. I mean, Daniel's is, you know, maybe a second slower than Lathil's, so it's not really. Well, and Lathil requires you to hit a weird portal shot that looks like it takes him a second to get, so it's really not a big deal. But you're just hoping Lathil throws this, so he's on conversion intro now. So we're just gonna wait for him to get into the test chamber, and once he's in there, we'll see what happens. This could be a really, really defining moment for Daniel's race, though. We'll see what Lathil does on this map. Because the number of test chambers that Lathil can throw is shrinking, and is shrinking fast. The amount of seconds he can lose is shrinking. And Lathil gets his first try. You hate to see it for Daniel. You really do. And, you know, and that's the thing. Conversion intro, it's not a difficult reportal. It's just something that people mess up a lot. I'm not sure what it is. It's probably the easiest trick in the game that, like, high-level runners mess up regularly. Oh, Lathil getting cocky there a little bit. He goes for a reportal. Doesn't hit it, but at least he didn't shoot too early, because that would have actually just lost him time. Okay. So, I think Lathil messed this up, but he's on the pipe now, and that was the part he messed up. So, and now he's stuck, and now, yep, no problem. Okay. And actually, important thing to remember also, Lathil here, he is uncomfortable, it seems, with this trick. Oh, he gets it first try. Of course he does. So poor Daniel. Poor Daniel. Man, it's just because, you know, just because of the crashes last game, you have to feel really bad for him, because it's not like, you know, I mean, Lathil's playing really well this race, but which is unfortunate for him, but it's also just that he would already be, you know, he would have already won the match had his game not crashed. So, tragic situation to be in. You hate to see it, you really do.
For God's sake, your boxes, legs. It's literally your own.
So here we have Lathil going into. I don't think the lead's gotten worse for Daniel. I don't think Daniel's. Oh, he had to load there. He didn't get the shot. I don't think Daniel's necessarily lost much time against Lathil. Well, he might have. It's hard to say. Lathil's played pretty well. Obviously not a perfect run, but, you know, you don't expect a perfect run, especially during a race.
Since making tests is so difficult, why don't you just keep solving this test?
Oh.
Same work.
Lathil messing up test a little bit. That'll probably lose him a few seconds. A couple seconds Daniel will gladly take, though, because it's unlikely Daniel will make the same mistake. Oh, bonks his head on the door, though. Hate to see that. 24:43 is when Lathil goes into a funnel intro. So let's see how far behind Daniel actually is and see how much time he can get. So Daniel's timer is now just passing the 24:43 mark. It's,
Well done.
I mean, yeah, it's not looking good for Daniel. It's probably at least 30 seconds of lead Lathil has on him.
I'd love to help you solve the tests, but I can't. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're on your own.
Oh, yes. Well done.
All we had to do was pull that lever.
What? Well, no, you pressed the... Ah!
Okay.
I thought of some good news.
So yeah, it's about a 30-second lead. A little bit more than that, actually, that Lathil has on Daniel.
Don't start yet. You are not going to believe this.
Tragic situation.
Hundreds of perfect
Um,
chambers just sitting there.
So, same situation though as last game. There are a couple chambers that we're going to watch to see if Lathil messes them up. One of them is in 2 maps from where he is right now. Ooh, he doesn't actually use the funnels here, so this could actually be a... Okay. He gets through. It takes him a couple shots. Daniel places the funnel, so Daniel will probably gain a couple seconds on Lathil because of that, but that's not, you know, that's not nearly enough. That's not the kind of throw that Daniel's looking for. As I said earlier, you really need Lathil to throw a map if Daniel's going to take this.
It's not enough. If I'm such a moron, why can't you solve a simple test?
Okay, so Lathil going into funnel catch, I think. He's going to, yeah.
Now he's playing classical music.
So let's see if he gets this quickly.
Hope that didn't disturb you too much then.
And he does.
Pages being turned,
That's okay though, you know, I mean, it's,
reading,
you know, Daniel will probably get it too. It's just really what, I mean, you know, there just isn't that much space left for Daniel to take this.
If he's not getting his solution euphoria, we could be in all.
Don't mind me, just moving the old test chamber a little bit closer to me.
Okay.
Maybe proximity to the test solving might give us stronger results. What was that? Oh, sorry, could have sworn you. Are you absolutely sure you're solving these correctly? I mean, yes, you solved it, but I'm wondering if maybe there's a number of ways to solve.
So we'll see what happens on Laser Platform, which is going to be the map after this map that Lathil's on. Just because of Chocolate Milkshake. He did mess it up that one time, and that lost him a decent chunk of time. His first race. So if he does that again, that would be seriously helpful to Daniel.
Anyway, just give me a wave, would you, before you solve this one, alright? I don't want to spoil the ending for when I watch it later.
Remember when I told you that he was
Okay.
specifically designed to make bad decisions?
But you also have to hope that Daniel doesn't mess anything up more. That's also the thing. Daniel has to play this well. And then just wait for Lathil to... Uh-oh.
Programmed in one last tremor.
That's not good. That button is awful. Alright. Yeah, if you get the Franken cube to land on its back, it's good because, well, it's a flat surface, first of all, and then also it's not going to walk away. It doesn't usually walk... Ooh, I'm not sure Lathil got that. I don't know if he was able to strafe in the right direction. Did he get it? I don't think so. No, he did. No.
Yeah, just getting a test ready for you, obviously. Who else would I be doing it for? No one?
Okay. And he gets that first try. That was really the last major choke point of the run, so that almost puts the nail in the coffin for Daniel here, especially because Daniel's having a couple moments here. But, you know, obviously, these are 2 high-level runners. You know, if Lathil wants to stay ahead, he's got to continue to play decently. And so, even though there's not really a great place for him to completely throw a chamber, it's possible for him to just have a, you know, a messy run of one of these finale maps. Unlikely, though. It's not looking good for Daniel right now.
I'll bet you're both dying to know what your big surprise is. Well, only 2 more chambers. Surprise! We're doing it now.
Okay, credit where it's due. For a little idiot built specifically to come up with stupid, unworkable plans, that was a pretty well-laid trap.
No, don't do that. Stand right here. Hello.
Alright, see what happens with Daniel. Hopefully he gets his first try.
Please.
Because if he doesn't, then he's really in trouble.
Okay. If you... Oh.
He's good.
The old
Okay.
times, the old days when we were friends. Good old friends. Not enemies. And
That's good to see, but it's not going to be nearly enough. Oh. I guess Lathil got a bad save there. That's good for Daniel.
Back to the old times, the old days when we were
A really
friends,
weird
not
save.
friends, not enemies. Can't help but notice that you're not coming back, which is disappointing. Oh, I've got an idea.
Okay. Oh. Okay, so
Did something break back there? Ha! Was that your bullet-riddled bullet flying out of the room? It was. Oh, those were the crap turrets.
let's see what happens.
Well, no matter, because I'm still.
There's not really, yeah, but there's not really a specific point that I'm looking for Lathil to do something that'll give Daniel an edge here,
Cards meaning to learn. Anyway, new
because
turret, not defective.
I just don't know where you'd mess up, especially because he's not doing, neither runner's doing the risky strat here in Finale 2 with strafing past the turrets. So that would be a point I'd look to, but neither runner's doing it. Just probably smart, especially in Lathil's position where he just needs to, you know, play like Daniel does, and that's all he needs. With the lead he has.
Crashing's too good for him. First, he'll spend a year in the incinerator. Year 2, cryogenic refrigeration wing. Then
All right.
10 years in the chamber I built where all the robots scream at you. Then I'll kill.
Okay, I'll take that as a no then.
Oop. Okay, so it looks like he's gonna get a 32. She's gonna PB by a decent margin. She hate to see it for Daniel, but good for Lathil. Because I think this would be his first 32. And it looks like he's gonna get it. He'd have to mess up Finale 4 by a decent amount to not get this 32. Daniel is, I think, just got his first 33 like a couple hours ago. So for him to get a 32 and beat Lathil would be incredible. I don't think there's any way he does it, though. With Lathil on Finale 4, there just isn't enough space for him to mess up enough to give Daniel this.
I'm delivering the first core up near the catwalk. Grab it and attach it to it.
You know, it's not over till it's over, but it's just about over for Daniel. Oop.
Quick, what's the situation? Oh, hey, hiya, pretty lady.
Ooh,
Name's Rick.
Lathil having kind of a weird
About having
cycle with the
yourself a little
core.
Warning, core corruption at 75%.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think it's possible for Daniel to win.
The Great Depression, the Tennessee Valley of
Lathil has reported his time. He did not mess up. Spoiler alert, he did not, you know, dramatically mess up the end of this. There's really nothing he can do. Even if he misses a moonshot here, he loses 8 seconds, which just isn't enough for Daniel. He doesn't miss moonshot, though, and he gets 32-45, which is a PB by 47 seconds, according to Lathil, which is a very, very good. When you're PBing by almost a minute, I mean, it's a good run. So you hate to see it if you're Daniel. He would have had it, but he didn't. Unfortunately, Daniel's audio isn't available, so we aren't going to have that. We're going to be watching the rest of his run in silence. Ooh. The credits music is phenomenal, by the way. Credits to Ken Even for the really good recorder playing here, you know. He is a musician. You can hear that in the credits music here, for sure. It's cutting out, though, because Lathil probably just keeps clicking on other stuff. That's not Portal 2. Yeah, Daniel ends up losing, though, by about 50 seconds, 51 second. Lost from Daniel. It's a shame. All right. I'm going to mark Lathil is done. And we should be getting them in here for a post-match interview. and he's second now. That was a solid race, though. For those of you who watched the entire thing, well done. That was a marathon race, but you know they're quick runners, so they were able to do it. Hi.
Man, talk about a scam.
Yeah, I know that I was feeling so bad for you during that whole last race because it wasn't looking good for you, and
I PB'd that on the third race, and it was like the worst run I've ever had. Like the entire run, I was red. I was like plus 50 at one point. Like
wow, that's why you don't reset.
yeah, and then the second race should have been an easy victory, even though it wasn't a good run. But I got scammed by 2 crashes,
Yeah.
both of which the autosaves were corrupted. So I had to reload the entire map, and
Where
then
did you,
on funnel catch, I had to reload the map twice because I was trying to test to see if the timer would restart. So that
Wow.
right there is enough time for me to have won.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just had excluded that one reset. So
And you
I
would've had
actually
the
got
match, too.
scammed. Yeah, I got
That-
scammed out of that one. That was
Yeah,
unfortunate.
that's actually really unfortunate. Yeah, I know. Because when did you crash? When was your second crash? Like, how far into the map were you?
I crashed while I was portaling over for the preserve on laser.
Oh, okay. That's not terrible, but still, that's
It's more than 4 seconds.
yeah,
which
it is
what I lost
definitely
by.
more than 4. Yeah, so that's a real shame.
So I probably lost about 25-30 seconds to crashes that run. So I
Yeah.
would have taken that one away pretty easily.
Man, you hate to see it. You really do.
Yeah, none of the
Um,
races felt good at all. Like, especially not the last one, which is so surprising because, like, I literally saved. I was +2 at the end of stop the box, and then -20 on laser catapult, and then I was +33 at the end of prop flings, and +6 at the end of conversion intro.
Wow. That's the kind of mid-game comeback that you see sometimes. Oh. Yeah, it looks like Lathil isn't going to get the invite because I think his Discord changed.
Smart.
All right, well.
Well, I guess I should have an easy run of the lower bracket. Let me
Yeah,
see.
let me actually, let's look at that.
I'm trying to pull it up.
So Lathil's going to be going on to play Can't Even.
And then he's gonna get, and then after that, I think he gets knocked into some matches with oh, what's his loser bracket? What was gonna be mine? I think it was gonna be. Oh God, I don't remember.
What are you? So you're loser 22. So, oh, you're gonna be playing Jonice. I raced
Okay.
him.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he's practiced since we raced because he was improving really fast. So
Yeah, he's an older runner.
yeah.
I'm not too concerned about Jonesy because he's a, he wasn't at the top back when he used to play, and so he was improving quickly to back where he used to be. But I think he's gonna cap out pretty soon. And then after that, Burger 40, which
Yeah, you're in trouble.
yeah, honestly, it's so wild.
Unironically, though, like he's
Yeah.
actually been improving really fast as well.
Aside from the terrible jokes in previous commentaries, Burger 40 is actually doing really well. I think
Yeah.
I think I might have beaten. I don't know what his PB is. It was 33 something, right?
It's a 33. Yeah, he got a 33 against Can't Even, I think.
And I should have easily had a 32, like 3 different runs today, and I just choked it. So
Yeah, that's gonna be something though.
also, this was somehow a personal best by like 20 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way I can get Lathil in here.
Yeah, he has a 33.45, so I'm beating his PB right now.
But that's actually gonna be it's gonna be a close race.
Yeah, and
That's
look,
gonna be fun.
Lathil, everybody loves to hate Lathil, but he's a good player, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
PB'd by 47 seconds in the last race. So even
That's
though,
great.
maybe we can discount the second match and say that, it probably should have gone in my favor.
He played
still
really
won.
well that last race
Still
though.
won,
He did play. He played quite well. That was good. A good
Yeah.
32 that he got there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah. So he's gonna go on to Can't Even, and
Yeah, I think he's gonna end up against.
What is he? 61.
I was planning on facing Kurziao, but Kurziao is out of the tournament when I went to losers after fighting Kenny.
Oh, yeah.
But I think there's still a chance he faces AJ, so that'll probably knock him out because that was what I was expecting was gonna knock me out.
Yeah, it looks like he's probably gonna play Bill. Bill play? Yeah.
It also
So-
looks like, according to my prediction, I would have to go up against Zach.
Oh,
if I
Zach's
beat
been doing
everybody.
well.
Zach is really good. So
Yeah.
I might see a repeat of the 2019 tournament where I just got knocked out like immediately. So rest in peace. Unfortunate, but congrats to Lathil on a 47-second PB in the third game of the race.
That was crazy.
Shout out to my game for crashing the first time in like a month, even though I loaded Portal 2 before it. Like, did you see my starts to funnel catch? Like in the first two races, my camera was just like,
oh yeah,
like,
I did
freaking
see that.
out. I had no idea what was happening. Like, thankfully,
That was weird.
Thankfully, it like stopped, but I had no idea.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. That was really strange.
I had no idea what was going on with that. So,
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we'll see you in later races. Hopefully, hopefully you do well in the losers bracket. You probably will take it a little ways, and through the losers bracket, you'll go a little ways there.
All right.
Should be good. Well,
thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah. Shout out to Lathil, who couldn't make it to the post game interview because his Discord changed. Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.